Hey everybody, we're going to talk about the music to Waltz number 1. Now, if you haven't checked out my video of my performance of this piece, go check that out first and then come back so that you know what it sounds like and all that stuff. This video is all about explaining to you what you see on the sheet music, and it's useful. And even if you don't know how to read, that's really not important at all. The goal in this video is for those of you that don't know how to read, to understand just really simple concepts to kind of ease you into reading actual notation. So again, go check out that video and then come right back, okay? All right, so I have my list here of things I want to talk about. Let's start with tempo. The tempo, we have a chord note with an equal sign followed by a number, in this case 136. So all that means is you set your metronome to 136, you turn it on, and that's the tempo that you have to play the piece at. That's your goal tempo, okay? If you don't have a metronome, you can download them onto your phone. There are ones that you can pay for. There are free ones with less features. If you have one of those old school ones that you actually have to carry with you, just set it to 136, set that knob to 136, turn it on, and you're good to go. All right, next thing, what do I have here? Time signature. Let's go over the time signature. Okay, so really simple concept. We're talking about the musical notation. So again, if you don't know how to read, not a big deal. All I'm going to mention for the time signature, all you need to know right now is that the top number means you count to 3. Why? Because it's a number 3. If it were a number 4, you would count to 4. If it were a 7, you'd count to 7. So because it's a 3, every single measure is going to be 3 counts in duration. So every measure has 3 counts. Really simple. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's why I called this a waltz, because the time signature of a waltz is in 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's your waltz, okay? All right, moving on. Let's talk about the quarter notes and the quarter rests. All right, continuing with the musical notation. The first note you play is a quarter note. The second notes that you play, which is a chord, by the way, those 3 notes together, those are 3 quarter notes. You're playing them all at the same time. That's all you're playing for the first measure. Those are quarter notes. Quarter notes have a duration of 1 count. So you have 1 you play. If you're assigning the counts to the measure, on 1 you play that first quarter note. On 2 you play those 3 quarter notes together, and then on 3 you don't do anything. Well, no, you do something. You stop the strings from ringing, because those are what are called quarter rests, and rests mean a moment of silence, or in this case, 1 count of silence. So you're going to stop your strings and you're going to count to 3, but you're not going to have anything, any notes being produced from your guitar. Okay. So some of you may be thinking, okay, if a quarter note is 1 count and a quarter rest is 1 count, how come I see 2 quarter notes and then 4 quarter rests? So that's 6 counts. Like that doesn't make sense. Well, I'll tell you what you're doing. You are playing 2 separate, distinct voices. You have a top voice, which is the voice playing the chords, and then you have a bottom voice, which is the voice playing the bass. So let's talk about the bottom voice. The bottom voice has 3 counts, 1, 2, 3. It has a quarter note plus 2 quarter rests. So that's 1, 2, 3, the 3 counts in the measure. The top voice, you have a quarter rest followed by a chord, which is a quarter note in duration, and then another quarter rest on the 3rd count. So when you so those are the 3 counts, the same 3 counts in the measure. So they're going along together at the same time. Okay, and that's a really simple concept. But when the voices become very independent, you can get to playing some really crazy stuff. But it's for now, hopefully that makes sense. All right, staccato notes. You'll notice there are dots above a lot of these, well, pretty much all of them. Those dots are articulation markings, and this articulation in particular is a staccato. So all it's asking you to do is when you play this chord or these chords, you want to shorten the duration of the note value. So you want to cut them short. You just want short notes, and you can see that in my playing. Let's see what's next on my list. Blank measures. So you'll notice there's a blank measure in the tablature, and then in the notation there's basically a measure of rest. That's what that little box is, the little rectangle. So really important. When you get to this point in the music, there's a ton of these. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of them. Okay, maybe not a ton. When you get to these, you have to remember to count to 3. Okay, that measure still has 3 counts. It's just for those 3 counts, you're not playing anything. So when you see me, when you watch that video again of me playing, you'll notice there are pauses. Okay, those pauses are there because the music is telling you, hey, you have to stop for 3 counts. 1, 2, 3, because every measure has 3 counts according to our time signature. So that's what those pauses are, okay? All right, moving on to the DC al Coda. Towards the end of the piece, you're gonna see a text, and that text is gonna give you some instructions. And this one in particular, DC al Coda. DC stands for da capo, and da capo translates to the head, and that's interpreted as to the beginning. So that's the first half of the instructions. So da capo al coda. Al coda means to the coda. So you're going to go back to the beginning, DC, back to the beginning, al coda, to the coda. The coda is a symbol. It's a circle with a plus sign going right through it. That's the coda, okay? It's also really easy to tell when the coda is because, well, first of all, you see the symbol, but you'll also see what's called a double bar line. And that makes it very clear that, okay, this is the last portion of the music you play before you jump to the next coda, which is what you're going to do. So you're going to start over, you're going to play until you've reached that coda, and then you're going to look beyond that measure until you see the next coda. And you'll find it on this piece, it's at the bottom of the page. And what you're going to do is you're just going to jump over to measure 33. So in other words, you're playing measure 16, and then you're jumping to measure 33 seamlessly. So you skip measure 17 through 32. You never play those again. So now we're on measure 33, and I want to talk to you about the dotted half note. The dotted half note is the first note that you play here. A dotted half note is 3 counts. You don't need to understand why, but just understand that it's 3 counts. So really important. This is really important. When you play that dotted half note, that 0, that E, that low E, okay, you have to make sure that it continues to ring when you play the 2 chords on the top voice. If you stop that note when you play those 2 chords, you're not playing a dotted half note. So it's really important that you just let it ring. When you play that note with your thumb, don't rest your thumb on the 6th string. Just kind of let it sit there in the air, play those 2 chords, and then when you get to the next measure, you can play whatever's next. So that's your dotted half note. And then at the end, at the very, very end, you have a final bar line. Really simple to tell. It's just a thick line at the end. That just means, hey, you're done. Congratulations, you finished. Good job. And then the last thing you play are harmonics. In the notation, they're notated as diamond note heads. And then in the tablature, the numbers are blocked off with, they're surrounded by greater than, less than signs. That's the notation for harmonics in tablature. Above the musical notation, you'll see a Roman numeral 5 because that's going to be where your harmonics are. Harmonics are always done on open strings. You just lightly touch over a specific fret, and that's going to tell you which fret to lightly touch. In tablature, okay, it actually tells you where to touch. That's why you see a bunch of 5s. If you had to do harmonics on the 12th fret, then those 5s would be 12s, and then the Roman numeral above the musical notation would be a 12 in Roman numerals. And that about covers it. Let's see, that's everything. I do want to take a moment before you guys go. I do want to take a moment to ask you to support my studies, my composition, my channel by going to my website, which is just my name, www.tizocestrada.com. I literally just published it today, this morning, in fact. And so it's definitely still under construction, so you'll kind of be navigating and be like, what's this? But it does have this sheet music available for purchase. I'm not asking much, it's just $2. And I know some of you can probably just pick this out by listening or by watching the video a couple of times, see where my fingers go. But it's really important that if you, first of all, if you're serious about studying music, it's always going to be beneficial to have the music in front of you. Whether or not you can play it or not is besides the point. Having the music in front of you, you can gain some insights that you wouldn't otherwise if you're just listening or learning by rote. We call that learning by rote, meaning just someone just shows you or you just watch. So I would greatly appreciate your support. All I'm asking is $2, but it's really useful. And I also have some other things on there that I haven't really gone over yet, which over time, as I make more videos, I'll have some tutorials on those as well. But again, I would appreciate it. And that's really about, oh, last thing, when you watch my video, you'll notice my posture is different. It's different from the standard. I do have a video that explains guitar posture. I'm not following those rules because if you watch that video, I do mention I had some back issues. And so I was experimenting with ways to fix it. And what the best thing I came up with was just putting my guitar on the right leg so that my back is straight. So if you were concerned or if you were curious about that, there's your answer. All right. Okay. That's everything. Hope you guys learned something today. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Take care.